Good morning. Special thank you to Zvi Goldring, Marty Zeitlin, Nachman Fried, my Rebbe, Reb Chaim Kramer, BRI, everyone involved here. We are in Torah Daled. We learned the first 7 paragraphs out of 11 in the first Halak of Likutim run. We're doing Be'ion in the first paragraph. I think we'll either finish today or probably next week, and then we're going to do Be'ion Vidui Dvarim, which is a huge subject and one that has been used against Breslov for a couple hundred years. Where did Rav Nachman pull this out of the hat? And sadly for the Hisnagdim, he pulled it out of the Torah and Chazal, like everything else. It's just not so well known, and it's also something that has been poorly associated with another religion. So that's where Vidui Dvarim has got a lot of bad rap. But we're going to look at that in detail and identify the actual Makaras in both Tosha Baal Peh and Tosha Bechtav. But for now, we're doing a deep dive into the first paragraph of Torah Dalet, where Rav Nachman has introduced us to a pasuk. Torah Dalet, and right at the end Bezrat Hashem will get there. We'll wrap up how the Torah that he now gives us is actually a perush on this first pasuk. This first pasuk is the Yesod of Emunah. It's the mitzvah of Emunah, and all Rishonim who count the mitzvah of Emunah in Taryag agreed that this is the pasuk. This is the verse that is the source of our mitzvah of Emunah in Hashem. So the opening words, Adam Yodeh Shekol Me'oreisav Hem L'Tovasei, when a person knows, key words, we've gone into it last couple of weeks, that everything that ever happens to him, everything that's good, everything that's bad, Hem L'Tovasei is actually for his benefit. Zois HaBechina, this connection, that's how we're translating Bechina, this connection in your mind, that everything that you have ever experienced, both the good and the bad, this is actually Me'ein Olam Haba. It's a glimpse of Olam Haba. And the text proof, which Rav Nachman always brings, in this particular case is B'Hashem Halel Dava. In Hashem, when it's Yud and a Hey and a Vav and a Hey, is the name of Hashem of Rachamim. When it's clear that it's blessing, it's good health, it's happy family, children are well behaved, they're on the right medications. Pure humor. And whether or not it's good or about Elokim, I'm experiencing Hashem's dinim. Hashem as Elokim, the judge. That's what Elokim actually means, and it also means Bala Koches Kulam. So David HaMelech says it makes no difference. Ahalel Dava. I am going to praise Hashem. The word Halel, even though the Christian translation is praise, it actually means happiness. That is the Radak, Inyan Simcha. And the praise that we give when we say Halel is because we're saying it from Simcha. So praise is the Totzah, is the product of happiness. So David HaMelech is really saying, I will say Halel, I will praise Hashem from the same place of happiness, whether it's good or whether it's not good. V'zois HaBechina, this is a very powerful connection, Hi Me'ein Olam Haba, that a person is experiencing Olam Haba in this world. K'moshe Amru, as our sages tell us, B'yom Hahu Yeh Hashem Echad U'Shmo Echad, that in that day, when Mashiach comes and the nations will feel the judgment of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and Hashem will reveal himself in Yerushalayim, Har Zeisim, and on that day there'll be Tchias HaMesim, there'll be Kibbutz Galius, there'll be a lot of good things that will be happening. The Bayis Shlishi will be coming back. So on that day, Yi Hashem Echad U'Shmo Echad, that's the last taste that our Chazal, our own sages, wanted us to have on our lips at the end of every Shachris Mincha Maariv. B'yom Hahu Yi Hashem Echad U'Shmo Echad. That means this is something that we're not hoping for, we're expecting. Unfortunately, the Christian translation of the word kaver is hope. You should really give up hope. You should really, really give up hope, because hope is a very weak term. It means maybe. I hope I'll lose weight. Well, that's only maybe if I learn to be more disciplined. I hope I'll have a good relationship with my wife. Well, that's if she doesn't press my buttons. I hope I'll be healthy and live long. Well, that's if the junk food doesn't speak too loud to me. And before you know it, hope is a very pathetic description.
Hope I win the lottery.
I hope I win the lottery.
Cheap.
It's cheap. But kaveh doesn't mean that. Sadly for the King James Bible, kaveh means expect. And so what we're talking about is expect HaKadosh Baruch Hu to come through to you. This is what David HaMelech always said. Most of the language that you'll find throughout, especially Tehillim, ayachel, I will expect him. Mitzapeh is also a lashon of expecting, from the word safan, which means high up or north, where you look down from above. Safan, mitzapeh also means wait, because you're waiting for Mashiach, not hoping, you're waiting. You're waiting because you know the bus is going to arrive. You're waiting. You're not waiting out of faith, you're waiting out of expectation. You know it's going to arrive. You don't know when. Well, it might be on schedule, might not be on schedule, but that's what it really means. So, Bayom hu yeshem echad u'shmo echad. So the Gemara famously asks, what do you mean on that day? Then Hashem will be one? You mean before then he's not one? And the Gemara answers, you're right. Yeah, in this world we fracture Hashem. We divide him into two categories. When things go well, Baruch Hashem. When things don't go well, Oivei. Baruch Daina Emes. So we have split this world into good and bad. But on that day, when things go well, we say Hatov HaMeitiv, Al-Hara, Daina Emes. But La'atid, in the future, we're talking about that particular day onwards, Kuloi Hatov HaMeitiv. There'll only be one blessing, Shia Shem Echad, Yud Kei Vav Kei will be the same name, experience as V'Shem Elokim. Achdus Echad will be perfect unity. So that's the first paragraph, and what we're looking at today, Be'ezrat Hashem, is to understand if everything is really l'toiva soy, it's really for the person's ultimate good. That has to include every mistake I've ever made. It has to include all the terrible things I have said and done and even thought. In which case, what this is going to have to force us to do is, what do you, God, want me to do with my past? How am I supposed to relate to it? And specifically, how Rav Nachman is going to unpack this, because that's part of this da'as that we are being asked to shoot for, this awareness. You can call it da'as as a knowledge, but you can also call it an awareness, because the knowledge is not intellectual. That's a good start, but where we really want it to end up is that we actually believe this with every fiber of our body, that Hashem is not capable of doing something bad. It's only good. In which case, how do I respond to everything that comes up in my life? But at this particular point, what we're focusing on is, how do I respond to all the bad stuff that has happened to me that brings me down? And I've got certain regrets for, and I've also got a certain resentment for, and bad memories, etc., etc. And before you know it, my past is kidnapping my present. My mind, at this moment, is kidnapped because it's hijacked by memories of stuff I've said and done, and I regret, and I wish I never started with that particular business. I wish I never got married to that person. I wish I never chose that yeshiva for that kid. And before you know it, I'm beating myself up. So this is a really important piece to dig into. So the place we're going to start, and we're going to look at Rav Breiter on this very soon, is Torah Chaf Aleph. Look at turn number 21 in Likuti Moran. Paragraph 11. You want me to find it?
I don't know what it means.
No problem. I'll read it as clearly as I possibly can. So Torah number 21 in the first part of Likuti Moran, paragraph 11. This is a very famous Torah. It's all about the 7 openings of the face. You've got the 2 eyes and the 2 nostrils, the 2 ears. That's 6, and then you've got the mouth. That's 7 total. And the 8th, if you want to call it that, is the mind itself.
What would it say?
So it's paragraph 11. So Nachmu Ami, page 60 in my edition. I think it may be the same numbering in yours.
Oh,
Yeah. Is it? Sorry.
Is this the Eskanah?
I'm sorry.
The parsha of the Eskanah?
It's the
Because that has
the haftarah of the 3 weeks. Yeah.
Torah.
Nachmu Ami. You got it? Yes. So says Rav Nachman, Kol hatzares, all the pains, veha yesurin, and the sufferings, veha galus, and exile, einai, ela lefi erech chesron hadas, only exists according to the extent to which our mind is missing. Missing. That our mind is not shalem. Shalem means complete. Complete, as we're understanding it, means that a person sees that Hashem only does good. And when I think it's bad, so my mind is simply missing out on the information that would enable me to know it's really good. So it's not only this type of das, but he's extending it now in this particular Torah. All sorrows, all pains of Yisurim and the types of sufferings, and the entire galus, all of exile, eino erech chisron hadas, only depends on the extent to which my mind has something missing. Ukshenishlam hadas, when the mind is complete, that means now I understand why this was actually not only not bad, it was really good. Azai nishlam kol hachasronos. Whatever has been missing, all those missing parts are now complete. Bibchinas, and this connects to, we've looked at this Gemara previously, a Gemara Nadarim Mem Aleph Amud Aleph, actually Amud Beis, sorry. Im das kanisa ma chasata. If you've got a mind, if you've got this das, this awareness, then what are you missing? You're missing nothing. The im das chasata, if this das you are missing, ma kanisa, what have you actually acquired? We looked at that Gemara. The Gemara's language is slightly different. The language he's quoting here is actually two different places. Vayikra Rabbah, in the Medrash Rabbah of Vayikra, Parak Aleph Ois Vav, and you'll find also in Koheles Rabbah. Now, so if you've got this mind, you're missing nothing. You've got nothing missing in your life. And that doesn't mean a person doesn't have no suffering, it doesn't have a difficult marriage or difficult child. It just means their mindset can handle this to the point where they're not thrown off. It doesn't make a difference. So it comes along, uksiv, lachen gala ami bibli das. That's why the pasuk says in Yeshayahu, Perek Hey, I exiled my people who were missing their mind. That means to say the only way they could experience the exile is if it's bli das. The ikar chayim nitzchim, the main life of eternity, yeh la'atid. That's going to be in the future. Because in the future, that's when our das will be complete. Shiur behadas, the das will be increased. Yedu hakol et Hashem. Everybody will know God. And through that level of awareness, yuchlulu b'achdusai. Everyone will be included, absorbed as part of Hashem's unity. Unity meaning they will see that every atom is completely powered by Hashem. Nothing is powered by itself, including Goyim. Yeah, that's actually further in this Torah, this very same Torah, which we're going to skip. We're going to go to a different paragraph, but you're right, even the Goyim will. Their starting point will be our point that we've got now. When Mashiach comes, we've been expecting him for thousands of years. So we've been preparing our mind for this, so Hashem will give us I don't want to call it an unfair advantage, but it's rather like you're going up steps to, I don't know, the Empire State Building. I'm not sure how many. Let's do Twin Towers. In its day, it was 110 stories. So let's just imagine you try going up the first, 10, 15 stories by foot up the stairs. It's really, it's not easy. After about 9 stories, your knees are going to really be aching, your legs, your thighs. It's not an easy thing. So at a certain point, most people would say, this is ridiculous. But what happens if, when you get to, let's say, the 15th story, there's an elevator that shoots you up to the 110th. Oh, okay. So when Mashiach comes, you're going to get this elevator that will take you to the 110th story, and the non-Jewish world will be at the 15th floor, so to speak, and the view that they will have there will be something they never had before, that they will think, wow, it's amazing that the God of the Jews was Mashkiach, he was supervising the whole of history, and we thought that they were the downtrodden, and we were so happy not to be this minuscule nation that was suffering the most in any time in world history. And yet now we realize that they were the chosen people all along. Their land was the land that Hashem gifted them. We made a huge mistake. So that will be an amazing revelation to them, because the irony, the the 180-degree switch from hating us to loving us and realizing that what a tremendous mistake that was, it will be very, very big revelation. But for us, that will be that. But we knew that all along. It would be too.
I think they would hate us more once they realize that.
So you would think that, but now what's going to happen is that they're going to get this das that Hashem was echad, and echad means there was no bad, and that the purpose of the non-Jews being part of our suffering was part of the plan that God actually set up, and He set it up in a few places in the Torah itself. Perek Chavav in Bechukoisai, in Vayikra Leviticus, and in chapter 28, 29, and 30 of the book of Devarim, Hashem warned us in advance that if we keep His Torah, we're staying in the land. If not, we're going to get ousted. And when we're ousted, we're going to get ousted by our enemies. But it's not our enemies who are ousting us. Hashem sent them to oust us, to throw us out. So really, it's not our enemies. They're just in Hashem's hand themselves. So that will be a huge Gilui Hadas. But it'll be very simple for us because we knew that all along. At least those who remained loyal to Hashem's Torah knew that all along. So, so everybody, the non-Jews included, they will know that Hashem, everyone will be absorbed, so to speak, in Hashem's unity. They'll realize nothing ever happened by accident. Nothing. There were no accidents. Everything happened on purpose. We will actually have an existence that is eternal, similar to God Himself, because now with this knowledge that nothing can ever go wrong, nothing ever did go wrong, and all questions were answered because we are living in the world of questions, but in Olam Haba and Olam HaEmes, and from this time onwards when Mashiach comes, all the answers will be provided, there will be no more questions. So now we'll be, so to speak, included in Hashem, Kamaima Hacham. As the wise man said, this is actually a quote from the Kuzari, which Rav Nachman himself said, don't learn that sefer. There was a number of Sfarim he was not very in favor of us learning, but and it's not quoting him, the Kuzari exactly, but in BRI's very thorough 30 volumes of the Likuti Maran, so in the footnotes gives you always the actual quote. So sometimes Rav Nachman quotes the Rambam in Yesodei Torah, which is also not a big favorable thing to learn in much of the Olam HaChasidus, but in the footnotes he'll tell you exactly which Rambam and also Moreh Nevuchim, etc. So my understanding though is if he's just giving you a quote from one statement, that's not learning the Sefer inside. You're not learning from the beginning to the end. So it's not really giving credibility specifically that way. But the saying that is in the Kuzari in chapter 5, Ilu Yadativ Hayisiv, is a famous saying, if I would know him, I would be him. If you were to know your spouse, you'd be your spouse. Nobody knows anybody because you're not inside their mind, and it'll be an amazing accomplishment if a person just knew themselves. But it's not possible. It just isn't. But at that time, the das we'll have is so huge. I don't mean huge just in volume. I once attended. I may have shared this many years ago. I don't remember. But I was 9 years old. I was on a farm in Devon, South England. And we kids, there was a number of different kids. So we were playing, and it was night time, and the older kids, the teenagers, were doing a séance. So I joined in. I didn't know it was us. You're not supposed to do a séance. A séance is it's a ritual for bringing the spirits of a dead person into the room and then communicating. They communicate through an ABC cards in a round table and a champagne type of glasses placed in the middle upside down. There were older kids. I was amongst the young. I was the youngest there. So it was very interesting that between everybody in the room, because we were a kind of an international group of kids, there was a number of different languages that were spoken there, and it happened to be there was a few ruchais that one after the other that they were communicating with. So one of them, we asked them questions in German and English and French, Spanish, and it answered to every single language, despite the fact that the ruach said he was 2 years old when he died. So we asked, how do you speak so many languages? So it said that in the other side, that means other side of this world.
And you heard the voice speak?
No, there's no voice. You don't hear. You see the glass moving to answer. It's a bit laborious because it takes time till the glass moves to the different letters. I don't want to teach you about seances over here. But it was you don't get to see things like that often. But according to those who believe in the spiritual dimension, when someone enters that world, that dimension, so to speak, they are given not a glimpse, they are given access. There's no time and space. So the mind is able to absorb everything. Because anyway, a human being is a chelik elokam mimal. The real you is not you, your body, it's your mind. The mind itself is a chelik elokam mimal. That means to say, it's a basic verse in Iyov chapter 31, you are, so to speak, a portion of the power of all powers, Hashem, from above. So if you are a tiny fraction of a fraction of Hashem's mind, but Hashem's mind is infinite. So you are already, you have that capacity. But when you go to the other side, so to speak, you actually access the almost all the capacity. So you can actually speak any language. You can maneuver to anywhere you want in a split second. There's no time and space do not exist. So you can actually traverse the universe, and that's why there is no time in the next world in terms of standing in front of the Kisei HaKavod, which, if you look at the Gemara in Chagiga Daf Yud Beis, you'll see that it's many light years away from planet Earth. It has nothing to do with space and time. The space and time are barriers we experience in this world, don't exist in the next. So says the famous Kuzari, Im Yadativ, if I would know God, Hayisiv, I would be Him. So it's impossible for a human being in a body which has its limitations to actually understand their spouse 100%. It's impossible. Because I'll never be inside all the memories they had in childhood. They'll be lucky to remember half of them themselves, let alone me to understand them. And so, therefore, that's why Ein Dan Yechidi Ela Echad. Only God is the real judge. I have no right to judge. If you've got a din of mishpat in monetary matters or other claims, you go to a beis din, and based on the available evidence, they will give you a psak that the halacha will help them determine what's the correct direction to go in, mutar asa, etc., compensation, payment, etc. But as far as any other human being is concerned, outside of beis din, I have no right to judge you. Period. And if I think I have to judge you, got to do it favorably. That's Reish Pei Beis. We've learned a little bit about that. So if a person were to know Hashem, he would be Hashem. The main awareness that a person is going to have is going to be in the future, as the pasuk says, and this is also from Yeshayahu, the entire earth will be filled. Filled means there's no room for anything else. And what will it be filled with? Dea, this awareness. Because this das will fill the universe, the whole earth, the whole planet, there'll be nothing good missing. It'll only be good. The whole world will be good. As Chazal saying here, he quotes the pasuk that our Torah is based on. What's that? Atu ha'idna lav echad. You mean only then Hashem's going to be one? No, the answer is because in the future you will only be capable of responding that Hashem is good and does good. There'll be no Dayana MS. Dayana MS is a gap that I have to jump into because I can't close the gap. What's that gap? I don't understand how the death of this relative is good, but I have to say, God, I declare you are the true judge. You are the real judge. You know exactly what you're doing. I don't know why my wine went sour and lost this huge stock, or this particular investment. Oh my gosh, I can't believe all the liens were false. Everything was sheker. I lost $250,000 on this investment. So I have a bracha to make, Baruch Dayana Emes. And it's not with tears. I'm supposed to say it with simcha. So that is training in God's reality that Hashem wants me to train while I'm down here in preparation for that day, Ba'yay Mahu, on that day. Because the amount that we've closed that gap while we're alive will enable us to be less shocked when it really happens. And therefore, that's what Rav Nachman actually tells us, that someone who has his status on a daily basis and Mashiach comes, it will not be such a big deal. It won't be shocking. It won't be a whole drama, because in a certain sense, he's accepting that Hashem, you are my king all day long, and therefore the only difference between now and then is the whole world will realize, oh my gosh, Hashem was king all along in the smallest imaginable detail. But if someone's already living like that, or trying to, or training towards that, so it's much less of a shock. So we can close that gap while we're still in this body. So I'm going to ask you to jump to the next page where before it says Chaim Nitzchiyim in the middle there. Can you see it's got Chaim Nitzchiyim?
Before?
So yeah, I'm going to ask you to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 lines. Ubaschila. Got the words? Ubaschila. This is actually in the middle of parentheses. Rav Nosson is explaining the Torah that was just shared with us from Chaf Aleph, and he's explaining in the beginning. Ubaschila. Chizkel ledaber. Rav Nachman started to speak about minyan chayim umisa, life and death. Anav Aman, he said, Bein chayim umisa ein chiluk. Really, there's no difference between living and dying. Ki im b'midas ama achas. The only difference is actually one amma. An amma is the length of the elbow to the end of your arm. That's where the word amma is the origin of arm. Arm comes from amma. Everything in the ancient days was measured by a physical distance, like a foot. 12 inches was a foot of an average adult. One amma, this distance is the distance between standing on the ground and the person buried beneath. Achshav Adam Shochen Kan. Right now, the person is dwelling over here on top of the ground. Later, when he dies, he'll be lying down on the ground. At that point, Rav Nachman pointed to the cemetery outside the window of his where he was staying. That's when he began talking about this entire subject. Chaim Nitzchiyim v'chulu, life of everlasting life, as explained above. Kloima, this means to say, Shemi shezoich ladas amiti. If someone has this real das, MS really means real. It does include the word truth, but that's a chelik of reality. Reality is what MS really means. Again, it's a Christian translation, unfortunately, that we're stuck with, but the real word MS means reality, because it's Aleph Tataf, and Mem juxtaposition is exactly in the middle, so it means that Hashem is the only reality. That's why we say, a pasuk from Yirmiyahu, we end every single Kriyat Shema, Hashem Elokeichem MS. Which, if you're going to say Hashem is truth, it's a bit stupid to say that. I didn't say those words. Rabbi Shimon Schwab told me that it makes no sense that our sages would have chosen the pasuk Hashem Elokeichem MS to mean Hashem, you are our power, who is truth. That's too obvious. He said the word MS means reality. You are the reality. Everything is really only a manifestation of you, and therefore this das, this real das. How are we going to be zoicha to it? Shemisha zoicha ladas amiti. Someone who has been worthy of this extreme clarity of full das, ladas oto yispach, to know Hashem, ein chiluk etzloi klal. There's no difference for him at all, bein chayim lemisa, whether he's alive or whether he's dead. Ki hu davuk v'nichlal bo yisparach b'chayiv v'b'moisoi. He is cleaving to Hashem both while he's alive and when he dies. Only his body right now is here on planet Earth. Later, when he dies, it's going to be there under the ground. As someone once said, every day above ground is a great day. And if you don't believe it, try missing one. So every day above ground is a great day. And once one really knows that, it helps put into complete pales out all the nonsense that's going on a daily. Oh, I missed the carpool. Oh yeah, I missed going to the gym. All the bad stuff. It becomes like ridiculous.
Well, if it's the same, except for one.
Sounds from here that doesn't really make a difference if you're above or below.
Correct. Well, based on this das, if a person's got that das, it makes no difference to him where his body is. When you meet real tzaddikim, you can't fail to notice the yishuv hadas. They're so calm. It makes no difference whether the bus is late or not. It makes no difference who's sitting next to them or who interrupts, because as far as they're concerned, Hashem's talking to them right now through their spouse, right now through this kid, right now with a stranger who comes up to them and starts a whole conversation. It makes no difference because as far as they're concerned, they're in Hashem's presence, and Hashem is being manifest in this particular oifen. So it made no difference whether they are in the Holocaust or not in the Holocaust. I mean, it's crazy to say it, but that was the madrig of tzaddikim. It's written in a book on the Tosha Rebbe that I don't remember which camp he was in, but he was beaten. He was beaten to a pulp, kicked and beaten to a pulp, and when they finished with him, he just got up and carried on talking to Hashem. So, it's difficult for us to appreciate, but their mind was so fixated that only Hashem exists, that whatever's happening to them, even physically, is a manifestation of Hashem.
Wouldn't he get up and say, well, why don't you just do this to me?
No, not at all. He knew how to mikabel Yisurin be'ava. So we've looked at this a little bit. One of the ways, and this is the Gemara tells us in Gemara Brachas Samach Base, I think we saw it. It says Kabbalah. This is how to receive Yisurei. Kabbalah de Yisurei, the way to accept Yisurin. And Rashi says Shaloi Bayet Yisurin. Don't kick them. Don't get out of here. I don't want Yisurin. I don't want any agitation. So that's called Hisnagdus Haratzon. I want something else. So I'm setting myself up for disappointment and frustration. So the Gemara says that, what's the way to accept Yisurin for any human beings, but especially a frum Jew? Kabbalah de Yisurei is shtikusa, silence, uboy rachmei, and ask Hashem for rachamim. Now the rachamim I should ask for is either stop these guys beating me up, or boy rachmei, give me the rachamim that I should be zoicha to have the resilience to accept this and smile. So my guess is the Tosha Rebbe knew that if he had done nothing that he could identify was deserving of this beating up, then he would attribute this to please accept my Yisurin as a kapara for Klal Yisrael. So Rav Gweta, who just passed away very recently, so some say he was actually Mashiach ben Yosef, and he accepted that instead of a terrible Has v'Shalom calamity coming upon Klal Yisrael because of a tremendous period in Eretz Yisrael between the Frum and not yet Frum, he accepted to die, and he did not die a very easy death either, stabbed to death. Yeah, there's Rav Guetta. So he all his life he was accepting Yisurin for Klal Yisrael. So it would make sense that this is what he actually wanted, that he accepted to be a kapara, a korban for us. But so that is what great tzaddikim are able to do. But the point is, you're 100% right. It makes no difference if the mindset, which anyway takes up no space. The brain is the physical location of the neshama, which is the mind, the seichel, and the nefesh ruach. It's all housed here. Your neshama fills your entire body, but if you want to call it the headquarters of the neshama, is actually inside your brain. But the brain is just a physical housing. The body is your physical housing. Even when you're speaking, it's your mind that's sending messages to your mouth, and in real time you're speaking what you're thinking. If you're moving your fingers, how did you do that? And the answer is, you had a thought to do this with your hand, or if you wiggle your toe, Chaim Kramer would tell me this, wiggle your toe inside your shoes right now, how did you do that? Well, you can explain the anatomy of your nervous system being triggered by a thought, but think about it, it's a world of ruchnius that is triggering off a world of gashmius. You start over here with a thought, you can't catch that thought, you can't translate it, you can't put it on the table and read it. It's a ruchnistic thing, it's completely spiritual. And yet that thought makes your toes, which are physical extensions of your mind, actually move inside your shoes. So we're living that way all the time. We're not paying so much attention to it. But this is what it's saying. Once a person realizes Hashem's everywhere all the time, nothing ever happens by accident, and that what really matters is everything. That every thought counts, every word counts, every action counts. And that's when a person has the chance of letting go of the past and saying, the past is the past. Masha haya haya, that's in modern Hebrew, and in the words of Chazal, Mata hava hava. It happened. Okay, so it happened. So now what? Rashi actually says on that Gemara, it's a few places in Shas, but there's a Gemara in Daf Hey, I think maybe all Daf Tes in Sota, I think it is, or is it Yuma? Sorry, I didn't check before. It was not in my notes, but the Gemara there, Daf Hey, Rashi says Mata hava hava. It's in Sota. What have we got to ask on? What questions do I need to ask about the past? It happened. Oh, you've got an important question? What was going on in my father's mind, my mother's mind when she did this, etc., etc. Okay, so you can ask them, bring them into the therapeutical scenario, and let's check it out. And then what? And then what? So I know. Oh, I need to stand up for myself. Okay. So do I have to put my parents down to do that? That's the only way I can stand up for myself. So I know better than my parents. Really. So maybe they got a lot more resilience than we had because they just lived a life of you grin, and you what's the expression? Grin and bear. Thank you. You grin and bear. You smile and you just accept the burden and move on. No drama, no analysis, just move on. So we're going to see this in a little bit more detail in a few minutes. So that's the Torah I wanted to bring to your attention. If I can ask you to turn the pages to 195. Torah 195, Kuf Tzadik Hey, in the first Chelik, 195. It's a very short Torah, Kuf Tzadik Hey. So on my edition is 222, page 222. Do you have the same edition?
What is it, 125?
195.
Kuf Tzadik Hey.
Kuf Tzadik Hey. You've got it? It's at the top right.
No,
But
no,
Salacha.
no, no.
Got slightly different, yeah. But Salacha. So Batsar Hirchavtali. Batsar Hirchavtali. So Pasuk in Tehillim, Parak Dalet Pasuk base. In the Tsar, in the suffering, Hirchavtali, you broadened for me. You made room for me. What's it mean? Hainu, that means to say, Shigam afilu behatzara ba'atzma, that even in the actual suffering itself, Hashem Yitzbarach marchiv lanu. Hashem is actually making room for us to be able to contain the suffering. Suffering is from the word sar, which means narrow. It's so constricting, it's so narrowing that my mind gets constricted and I can't handle it. So says David HaMelech, the king of gratitude and the king of suffering, he's able to say, in the suffering, I was able to see how you gave me room to actually get out of the suffering. Ki im yistakel ha'adam al chaste Hashem, because if a person were to seriously stare, yistakel is not just look, that's re'eh. Yistakel means to look deeply, means you're looking for something that you know that's there. So if a person were to really look, Al Chaste Hashem, and he's looking for the chesed in what he's going through, Yireh, he will see. Sha'afilu be'ez Hashem isparach meitzalai, even in the moment Hashem is making him suffer, it's narrow, it's constricting, it's painful. Gam b'hatzara ba'atzma, also in the tsar itself, Hashem isparach marchiv loi. Hashem is giving him room. There's room. What's the room for? To get out of this, or to give my mind some sort of explanation that I can survive what I'm going through. Umagdil hasto imoy, and he's enlarging the chesed with him. V'zeh, and that's the meaning of the words that David HaMelech said here in Tehillim. But tsar, in the tsar, hirchavtali, you made room for me. It doesn't say in me. It says li, for me and to me. Lamed means two or four. So for is always purpose, lamed is direction. So you, in the time I'm going through, you have given me a way to see how to get out. You're giving me a way to see how it's purposeful. Hainu, that means to say, afilu b'toich hatzar ba'atzma, natata li harchava b'toicha, you've given me inside this difficulty, chesed. Help me to see the chesed. Now I can't do that if I'm busy defending myself and attacking back. Then my mind is on trying to justify. You are so wrong. The reason why, and then I go into my explanation. Said, well, yeah, that's because, and she starts with me, and she might have a much better memory of my crimes against her. In which case, like they say, if your wife is not in the forest and no one else is there, and you say something, are you still wrong? So this is don't go there. Don't go there, because David HaMelech is telling me inside the Sar, Hirchavta, you made room for me to see the chesed that's there. But I'm not going to be seeing the chesed if I'm not mistakel. Mistakel means you're staring, you're looking, you're searching, because you know it's there. And if I'm not looking for it, guess what I'm going to be stuck with? God, I don't know why you let this happen to me. I don't know why you put me through this. I can't take it anymore. And I start going into Rabbi Rush. Just last week, he wrote how Anisha came to him. She was crying how angry she is with God. She's been divorced twice, and she's very, very broken. She said both my husbands they were horrible to me, and she starts giving this long laundry list, not clean laundry, of how badly she was treated. So Rabbi Rush said, both your husbands didn't read my book on Shalom Bayis, Gana Shalom. If they'd read my book, then you realize God is not at fault. Your husbands were at fault. So why are you angry with God? They messed up with you. God didn't. And she said, you know what? You're right. And she said, I'm not angry with God anymore. So this is the switch. The switch is, am I taking you seriously? In which case, I'm going to get sucked into the machlokes or the differences. And just let go. Move forward. Smile. Say, Rebbeinu Shalom, I know you sent this to me so that I can listen, maybe even agree. I know my wife and I made a compromise, and it actually works every time. We have this amazing compromise. I agree, I admit I'm wrong, and she agrees. Sorry, you want to say something?
I'm saying, according to what we're learning now, with all due respect,
Nice and loud. Yeah.
I'm saying, according to what we're learning now, it really was Hashem. It wasn't the husbands that didn't read the book.
Yes.
So I don't know if she should be angry at Hashem, but it's definitely Hashem that made their husbands act the way they acted.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. Excellent. You give me a good entree, because right after this we're going to look at that. The point that you're making is that really it was Hashem who sent the husbands. So in that sense, she was actually right. But not that she should then be angry with Hashem. She should understand, why did Hashem do that? It's not to squeeze me to hurt me. It's to squeeze what's inside of me out. That if I'm an angry person, guess what's going to get squeezed out of me when you squeeze me? Anger. But that's not what Hashem wants me. Hashem wants me to see how to change my anger to listening or empathy or apology. So this is the you gave me wiggle room inside the actual difficulty, besides what we are expecting. It's another word for expecting. Not only is it good now, and I'm looking for Hashem's chesed so I can get out of this, because the tsar is in my mind. What do you mean it's in my mind? She is shouting at me. No. My interpretation of what this means is taking place inside my mind. So it's not only a way for me to see if there's chesed here, I can see the chesed, then I can get out of it and not be stuck in it. But besides that, we are expecting that Hashem's going to bring about the Mashiach, and with it will also be a revelation that everything we ever suffered, in inverted commas, was perfectly designed. And then we're going to benefit tremendously. But even when we weren't thinking we were benefiting, inside the tsar there was lots of wiggle room for me to actually get out of. The best analogy I can offer you is that you're an actor in a movie. But what's really strange about this, it's really interesting, is that everyone is reading a script that was written by the script writer. Let's say the director and producer was the same person as the script writer. So now you are not reading your words. These are not your words. You're acting. That's what acting means. Duh. So now let's just pretend for a moment that you're the only person who's allowed to respond any which way you want. So you got Bechira, you got free will. Everyone else is reading a script. And that's exactly what we're saying now. Hashem is the one who's the director and the producer, and he put in the mouth and the mind of the person that we are interfacing with, the words that are coming out of their mouth, and the decibels with which they're coming out, and the contortions of the facial expressions as the words are coming out, and I get to choose how to respond. But here's the interesting part. If I know it's all put on, I know that everyone is acting on someone else's direction, then that will help me understand, if I really take this seriously, that this is one brilliant illusion. It's brilliantly orchestrated in such a way that I get to choose how to respond. But really, they're not angry. Yeah, they are. If you ask them, they'll say, yeah, I'm really angry. And they'll give you all the evidence for that. But if I know this is just a brilliant illusion, then I've got a chance of asking, okay, so what does the director of this show really want from me? How do you want me to respond differently than I have in the past that will actually equal a different result? Because I do know that in the past, when I got angry back, it became a spiral downwards in the wrong direction, and then there's a bigger period, a bigger distance between us than before. It doesn't help. So you see that what Rav Nachman is encouraging is that not only should we actually live this way, but recognize that even in the tsar, what looks like tsar, there's always room. That's David HaMelech, and he's the most qualified to say that. He's amazing how he got out of every situation. So I'm going to ask you to look at Kuf Nun Hey very quickly in Kuf Nun Hey so go back a few pages. Kuf Nun Hey. I hope we can make some progress on this, because I want to get to answer your question about how it's really Hashem who's orchestrating all this. Kuf Nun Hey.
Atzvus.
Yeah, thank you. So Kuf Nun Hey. Atzvus hu midara me'oid. Atzvus, there's lots of ways to translate it. Atzvus, Atzev is referring to agony, fear, pachad, anxiety, worry. It's a very bad midah. Midah ra me'oid. It's extremely bad midah. This is not for guilt. This is just for me to know that it's a thought. And because it's a thought, it's not a circumstance, I can choose my thought. I can change it. Can
you describe the midah of atzvus?
Yeah. Atzvus is when I take my thinking too seriously. So for example, let's if we translate
overthinking from a negative perspective.
Yeah, let's say anxiety. I'm anxious. The reason I'm anxious is because I have made something that's happened to me, or is happening to me, or the person who's in this world right now, who's I'm fearful of or anxious about what's going to come out of their mouth or how they're going to behave. I have made it much bigger than it really is, and I've inflated the cause that I think is making me have this fear and anxiety to a point where it's way bigger than its own reality, and I've also deflated the real reason behind this, which is Hashem talking to me. I've completely deflated. God is not in this picture. So the only way I can experience anxiety is because I make this much bigger than it really is. It's not reality. I give it reality.
Using parnasa, financial, as an example.
Yes. Yeah. So, for example, I'm worried about how I've got some serious bills to pay, very serious. And some of them are due, and some of them are overdue. And I don't have right now the means by which to pay. And I'm running 2 jobs, and I don't have the hours in the day or the waking hours in the day to put more time into earning another. So the anxiety I'm experiencing is exactly that. It's my thinking about what I'm going through and how I'm limited to how I'm going to solve this. And the more I think like that, the more I fall into a trap of actually believing that I am trapped. I just there's no way I'll be tev. I can get out of this.
Is it basically saying yush, atzvus, yush, you give up?
Well,
Yeah, so that's
You fall into
me-
a atzvus, you go into depression.
so the atzvus is it's often
overly
translated
concerned, being overly concerned.
overly
But
concerned.
you're giving up. As long as you still have hope, you're not depressed.
Right.
As soon as you're like, okay,
So
I
yeah, Yush is giving up, but and that Rav Nachman himself he says himself that in Ayin Ches he actually says that Yush is an illusion. It doesn't exist. Ein Yishum Yush Be'olam Klal. It does not exist. In the very word Yush, it actually is the Rosh Tevis Ein Shum Yush. Even in the Yush, there's no Yush. It's just it's a brilliant mindset that I have designed for myself, and I've got the evidence. Hello, Orange and Rockland, threatening to close my bill. How can you? I'm behind on my employees, so I've got the evidence to prove that I should be anxious about this. But the problem is that anxiety usually leads me to a place of immobility. I paralyze. And what we're saying is the following: how big is God? Like they're selling this book, all the things God can't do, and all the pages are totally blank. There's nothing he can't do.
I don't want to open like a can of worms, but you have individuals who go through financial struggles.
Yes.
And especially now in the summertime when it comes to the pre-registration of
Yeah,
school
the
year.
camps.
You
in
could say
advance.
O&R is creating anxiety. I mean, Rabbi, I hate to tell you, O&R is usually not the anxiety. The anxiety is when the school tells you
Yes, you can't-
that if you're not paid up to zero and you don't give me that deposit, your child is not going to have a school and you're not going to be
Yes.
able to register your kids. So it's not really creating, they're not threatening the chinuch of my child.
Right.
They're threatening to use my child as a pawn
Yes.
for the financial difficulties that I'm
Yes.
going through, which is really something that Hashem created.
Right.
So is the atzvus, is my atzvus kicking in because of the atzvus of the emunah, or is my atzvus kicking in because I'm being threatened by technically my child's, the chinuch system that is throwing on me, I don't mean me personally, but those that are
Right.
going through this issue,
Yeah.
and everyone has their ups and downs.
Yes.
Tuitions is through the roof these
Right.
days. But this is being it's an anxiety that's being created by a system that should really teach us the opposite.
Yes, very well said. So the anxiety is 100% thought. It doesn't mean that the schools are not making that threat. That is 100% true. It's my thinking about that threat that's giving me the anxiety. If I can realize that Hashem is the one who's orchestrating this, and right now, I have no idea where the Yeshua could possibly come from, but Hayad Hashem Katsa, is Hashem's hand like limited, like it can't reach that far? No, Hashem has no hand, but the expression is, Hashem used that Lashon himself in reference to, what are you worried that there's not going to be enough meat for the whole nation on a constant basis? You think my hand is shortened? I can do anything. So I need to get into a different mindset where I'm actually going to make room for God in my mind and say, Ben Shalom, I have actually maxed out, not just financially, but I've maxed out in all the status I can think of, all the people, all my connections. So I am now surrendering 100% to you because the hishtadlus is at its max anyway.
So the way really for any typical human young man that goes through this, one way to deal with it, to be able to get out of the atzvus, is really to get into a mode of, look, I was threatened. I don't care what you're saying. Like, say whatever you want. It means nothing to me. I don't care. These words, I'm not going to let the words of threat now take over my, technically, I put me into the level of atzvus. So now you're like, okay, so they're calling. So you're basically telling them, look, you could chase me, you could harass me, you could threaten me.
Are you asking for pratyas? I'm saying.
Is it coming across as I'm careless?
No, because if I'm going to
to them they look at, oh, look, I'm telling them something is careless. But really, the only way for me to not get into an atzvus mode is to say, look, stop. Don't let them manipulate you in that way, because now they're putting you into a mind. They're taking you away from true emunah.
So for me to get into the ring, I'm agreeing to fight with them.
I'm just bringing it up because this is like the perfect subject that everyone is going through now. It's a Chodesh Av. This is, you know what I mean. This is something that talks to everyone that has kids in schools. I mean, this is what people. It creates shalom bias. It
Yeah, of
creates
course. Financial
anxiety,
stress
financial
has
stress.
a lot of repercussions.
Parents are
It's
moody.
spillover.
The children are suffering.
Yes,
It's-
What he's saying is it doesn't cause anxiety. We cause our own anxiety.
yeah.
I get it, but all I'm saying is that
The answer
it's
is not
the
for me.
power of the threat of the
You're saying it
bullying
doesn't
that
have
you're
power.
going through.
Yeah.
That's great. So how do you overcome it? Like, what is the best way to really just?
The first place I have to be is
So that's
nowhere.
what I'm saying. If me as a person who's not so worked out of Midos, then now I go into a mode of carelessness. Don't threaten me. You know, like it's
So
not.
I don't know how. I don't think that the solution is how I'm going to respond to the school by telling them I don't care.
Well, no, I don't mean telling them I don't care, but in a mindset. To put yourself in a mindset where I can't
So
let
I'm still in the ring with the school. If I'm thinking, I don't care. The place for me to be is Hashem. You're in the ring. It's not the school, and so I've done everything I think I can do. I don't know anything else. Give me the mindset. Give me the room inside my brain that I've got space in my mind to actually deal with this without me falling into anxiety. Because atzvus leads to the worst. And God forbid, there are people who've committed suicide because of atzvus. There are people who've take controlled drugs because of atzvus, which is not a solution. It's not even a partial solution. It's a form of escape. Don't take it from me. Take it from psychiatrists and psychologists who've come out from the woodwork and admit that we're being fooled on that. This documentary, check it out yourselves. It's called Medicating Normal. There's nothing wrong with people who suffer from anxiety. That's a completely normal response. But the real challenge is not what seems to be causing the anxiety. The real challenge is me taking control of knowing that I'm producing the anxiety. There's no way the traffic can make me stressed out. It's me thinking about the traffic. There's no way the school can actually make me depressed or feel stressed or pressured. It's my thinking about what they wrote or said that is doing this to me. So it affects my davening, it affects my relationship with my spouse, with my children, and it spills over all over the place. So it's the thinking. When a person holds on to Rebbein Shleilam, this is coming from you, and I don't know where to go. I don't know where to turn, but I'm turning to you. Help me find a way out of this. Whether it's going to be a global solution, because this is going to be every single summer until my income is a whole lot better. Otherwise, I don't know how we're going to get out of this. It's ridiculous. And the few people who owe me some money, they're in a worse situation than me, so I can't even get the money that's owed to me, and it just goes on. Rebbein Shalom, I surrender to you. This is coming from you. I'm giving it back to you, and this is my part of the deal. I will not let this get me down. I'm going to love my spouse more and be more giving, and to my children, I'm going to be the same loving, supportive father. In the meantime, there are some families that create their own camps because of these problems, and the amount of money they're spending on trips that they're doing between all their children is way less than thousands and thousands of dollars for $4,000 for 2 weeks of camp. You are joking. Right?
You got to be self-employed to be able to do trips with your kids.
No, the wife. If the wife's not holding a job, she does the camps.
I get it. Yeah.
But we're not going to solve that
I
problem.
don't want not to get carried away.
The real issue is not the issue. That's the whole point. The issue is not the issue. The issue is my thinking. This is Rav Nachman's whole piece here. It's not even a tangent what you're doing. This is exactly the point. Where am I experiencing the stress? It's not the letter that's on my desk threatening that if we're not paid down to zero balance, then the kid's not coming back into school. It's my thinking about that. So Moshe Rabbeinu were in good company, because he said to Rebbein Shalom, how am I going to get enough meat? Tesvav in Parshas Bashar. Where am I going to get enough meat for the whole of Klal Yisrael? So Hashem said, Hayad Hashem Katza. Suddenly my hand can't reach. So I'm going to be sending fowl, these fat Slav. How do you pronounce these?
Quail, no?
Quail, thank you. These fat, juicy quail, they're going to come down in huge amounts, and you're going to have plenty and plenty of meat to eat. You don't have to worry about anything else. So there's Hashem can come through in any angle. So once my brain does not entertain atzvus and atzlus, that's what atzvus leads to. Atzvus means I'm lazy, but not lazy because I'm paralyzed. I can't take action. But once the mind gets freed up, B'tzar Hirchaftali makes room for me. Rebbe Shalom, you're doing this as a chesed. Show me the chesed. Let me see the chesed. Let me think about what's good about this. Oh, my children are alive and healthy. Oh, that's good. That's better than not being paying them for the camp or the school. My wife and I don't have cancer. Let's put that on the list. There's a lot of good things that are taking place that I can start noticing that these are still, I can breathe. I can go to the bathroom. Not everyone can go to the bathroom. These are serious matters. It changes one's life when one. I'm sorry?
Go ahead.
Yeah. I once went to the bathroom 23 times in one night. I did not know, but until it was diagnosed correctly, because I went to many doctors, until finally they saw that it was a cancerous growth that was on top of my bladder, and it was closed. It was not letting me urinate, so it was extremely painful. And I remember saying Asher Yatzar 23 times. Now, really, you're not supposed to do that if you know you're going to go to the bathroom again. But I fell asleep between each time, so I was completely mesichtas. So I said Asher Yatzar, and I made a note every single time I went to the bathroom. Eventually, Baruch Hashem, they cut it out, and it was not an active cancer. But that changed my whole Asher Yatzar. I remember going through that whole period. It was a good few months, and I was wearing a catheter, I think it's called. So it's very, very, and I had to make sure I went to the mikveh when no one else was around, because it doesn't look pretty when you're wearing a catheter. So it's not a great place to be. But Asher Yatzar turned my Asher Yatzar around, because I started doing an iyun on every single word, and what came out blew my mind of what's going on inside this bracha. So there's always chesed, but if my mind is going to be, this is cancer, I'm going to probably die, and then my kids, I haven't married any of my children, and my mind is poisoning me, not the cancer. It's my thinking about it. That is what is the problem. It's how I'm responding between my ears. It's not the actual. The cancer's not the problem. The school's not the problem. Life is not the problem. The bumps in the road are not the problem. Who put these bumps in the road? How stupid! I don't understand. Do you know how many times my car's been in the shop because it got ruined from this bump? I didn't even see it coming. It was in the dark. There's not proper lighting. Montebello, thank you. What's going on? And now it says, if you don't want this bump, there'll be another bump. There'll be a different bump. And there'll be as many bumps until I start realizing it's not about the bumps. It's about this over here. Kol da'avid Rachmana, l'tav avid. And Rabbi Akiva wanted us to know that when you say that every single time, guess what's going to happen? Hashem will give you the chesed of seeing how it actually was l'tova. And that tova is, the benefit is so much greater than me losing my cock-a-doodle rooster and my light going out and not getting not one person, not one of all the houses I knocked the doors, not one let me come for the night. I was all alone in the forest. He didn't go there. Instead, he just said, Kol da'avid Rahman, everything. Kol it's still not 99%, it's 100%. Everything he does, it's only the good. So Hashem said, okay, you're going to live like that and you mean it? Okay, I'll let you see how it really is. And then he comes back the next day to the best medrash and tells them the whole story and tells his Talmidim, didn't I tell you? Kol da'avid Rahman l'tav avid. And that's Paskin in Shulchan Aruch. It's a similar in Shulchan Aruch. We learned it before, Reish Lamed, Sif Hey, Le'olam yeheh adam ragil loima. Person should train himself. And train means that every bump in the road is another response. Kol da'avid Rahman l'tav avid. And when the spouse sees that we are able to take the bumps and not get bent out of shape, not go in the fighting ring with the school, can write back or leave a message, whoever it is, I am doing my absolute best, and please God, by the due date, I will have the money that you require. Otherwise, we'll have to figure out a plan B, which I don't have yet. But that's what I'm doing, and I'm committed for the sake of my child, for the sake of the sustainability of the school, who actually does need tuition. So I'm doing my best. I can't do more than that. May Hashem help us both the school and the parents. But what else am I? Everything is a test of my mind. It's not the physical test that is the problem. It's what am I thinking? How am I going to respond to this? And that's an ongoing thing. The moment your muscles get strong from this test, so Hashem says, so you can take next time you can take a weight that's even heavier. Oh no, please. And Hashem says, no, that's okay, because the more your muscles get strong, then the stronger you're going to be for the final day of Bayei Mahu. You're gonna say, what's the chiddush? What's the chiddush between Bayei Mahu, Yashem Echad Shmo Echad, and now? If now you're living that's Me'ein Olam Haba. You're getting a glimpse of this world now. You're experiencing the future now. The main thing is to let go of my past. So unfortunately I didn't get into. We're already past time. But I'm
sorry that I interrupted this.
No, it was relevant. It's Min HaShamayim. It was.
But actually, I see it's a short piece, and if you look at the words, it's pretty clear that how far Atzvus can take a person, and
Atzvus,
and what it does to you.
Yeah, so Rav Nachman does say elsewhere that Atzvus literally kills a person, and we know that. We know that from life experience. People fall into depression, and then they become immobile. And then they're not taking care of their physical body. They end up sometimes putting on weight that's almost irreversible.
So the definition of Atzvus is more anxiety or depression?
Stress.
Stress.
It's both. It also
all three.
Yeah, it's all of the above. But one is more intense than the other.
Right.
When it reads to depression, then Has v'Shalom it gets to Yiush. Yiush means there's nothing I can say or do or think that's going to make any difference. Once I reach that, I have let go. And Hashem does not want me to go there, and He wants me to know it's an illusion.
That's the real
So which stage? Like, is it the anxiety, the stress, the anxiety, the depression, or
the definition of
yish?
Atzvus is depression, right?
It's all. It starts with defining Yisurin, because Atzvus, depression, anxiety, fear, daiga, is a worry. They are all my mind response to something that I think is painful or bad for me. So what we really need to do is define Yisurin. So that the Gemara already does for us. Don't go into more the psychology, because we've got all the definitions, and our definitions come from Moshe Rabbeinu, who got it from Bia Gevura. And on the other side, and I do mean the other side, the Sitra Achra, Dr. Fraud, and he was never a doctor, but that's, I believe, was his real name, but he changed it because he realized people thought he was a con man, which he actually was. He never had a doctorate. He got that from a bribe. But if you want to go with fraud, so then I've got to analyze my past. And what Rav Nachman is here to tell us is move forward. You can't live over there, because when I live over there, then I'm going to give power to the negative experience that I have labeled negative. And because I've labeled it negative, I'm not even going into how to find the good in it. And the pasuk that blows my mind, that therapists and psychiatrists actually quote to legitimize talking about the daiga, is a pasuk in Mishlei Perek Yud Beis. We looked at it a few times. Chaf Hei, Perek Yud Beis, pasuk Chaf Hei. Daiga belevish. When a person has worry in his mind, what should he do? Yashchena. So Yashchena correctly translates as suppress it. Yashchena means you bow down and you don't go into it. Hold it down. Yashchena. So it's a Chazal. It's different places, 3 different places, and Yuma Daf Ayin Hey opens up. What's Yashchena mean? Yashchena means to bow down to it. Just let it go. Just go over your head. Don't take it. Don't think and talk about it afterwards. So Yashchena has two more meanings. Yasichena midatoi. The first man Amma says, take it out of your mind. Stop thinking about the daiga. The other mandama, which is the only one that's quoted, only because I think most therapists have not even looked at the pasuk to know what the rest of the pasuk is. I've challenged, I think up to date, at least 100 therapists. What's the remainder of the pasuk? They don't know. It blows your mind. Because if they were to know, then they would realize what they're supposed to do. Yasichena la'achirim. So it means talk to others. Look at Pelayoetz, look at Ma'am Loez, and you'll see. Pelayoetz says Yasichena la'achirim means switch it to other thoughts. Ma'am Loez says that as well. Pelayoetz also offers, if you're going to talk it out, if you're going to go with Rashi who says Yasichena la'achirim, talk to people. Yasichena la'achirim, who are the achirim? Talmidei Chachamim v'anshe Mada. People who are Talmidei Chachamim, who know how to help you get out of this. How do you get out of this? And look at the rest of the pasuk. That's the challenge. What does the rest of the pasuk say? Now this is only from Shlomo Melech. Hacham mikol adam. So you can put fraud on one side of the scale, Shlomo Melech on the other. Fraud will be right down there. And Shlomo Melech outweighs fraud by 1 billion frauds. There's no way Dr. Freud is going to win on this one. What's the rest of the pasuk? This will kill therapy. No, it won't actually. It will give them, but the problem is they'll only have one session and they won't be cured. What's the rest of the pasuk? Ubadava toiv yisamchena. One good thing, one good word, yisamchena, will make the daiga happy. So the daiga is not real. So look at the Mefarshim there, Rashi and Rabbeinu Yonah, Mutsudas, they're all Radak, they all tell you the same thing. V'dava toiv yisamchena. Yisamchena will make it happy, the daiga. That means look for something that's good in the suffering. That's exactly what Rav Nachman said before. B'tzar harhavdali. Look for something good that is so good that now when you remember the thing that triggered the anxiety, your perspective on it is completely different. You realize there's such a blessing in it, it doesn't bother you. Rabbi Yaakov Meir Shechter says even more beautifully, he says, to prove to you what an illusion daiga is that let's say 5 to 10 years later, someone reminds you of that thing that you went through, and you're suffering terrible anxiety. He said, "Oh yeah," and you laugh at it. So how is it that it's just so distant from you that you could laugh when you remember it? So says Rabbi Yaakov Meir Shechter, something very simple, but it's very powerful. So much time has passed. It's not the time that's healing, it's the fact that your mind has been distracted by so many other things that you're not thinking about it anymore. Because the only place you experience anxiety is inside thought. So when you're distracted, you're distracted. So it's ridiculously simple. Sorry?
Instead of waiting 10 years, you went right away.
Yeah.
What?
I was telling Hill, now he knows why. Like, we come at 11 in the morning and we just turn off the phone and record music and play the heck out of our brains for 7 hours.
Good distraction, yeah.
That's the best distraction.
You remind me, my neighbors are listening to great music, whether they like it or not. Okay, so next week, Bli Neta, I'm going to start with Rav Reiter, because there he's going to show you, and it's based on Likutim. He even makes the claim that every Torah in Likutim has the same message, and that is everything that happened to you in your past, everything that was b'mezid, I did on purpose. Everything I did accidentally. Everything I did because I was forced to. And whatever it was that other people said and did to me, it was all a gezerah from Hashem. And that's the only way that if I really believe Hakol b'dei Shemayim, that means everything, Chutz miYerushalayim, except for my choices. Do I include God in this experience I'm going through right now? That's the only way to be able to move forward. And Atzvus is the way to be stuck on mistakes I've made that causes me anxiety that this could happen again, and this person has power to harm me, and I start beating myself up about what I think the in-laws, the parents, friends, etc., all capable, the neighbors, what they're capable of doing to destroy my peace of mind. There's no end of that, because even if I move out of this neighborhood, I could choose another neighborhood, and all those neighbors get bought out by people who don't somehow fit my mindset, and before you know it, I'm back in Gehenna. It's not where I live that makes any difference, because this is where I live. That's where all the difference is. Okay, we're going to go there.
Thank you
Up to
very
you.
much. Hold on.
Thank you very